Offense that is so balanced and so deep. This is a Terp team that gets multiple goal scorers 6 or 7 different ways.
Hudson Bond meets Luke Wierman at the Faceoff X, and Wierman, who has been fantastic this season, gets Maryland the opening possession in the black jerseys. Officials Matt Pitt.
You find Kors, who always cuts at terrific angles. He slips it past Faceoff.
Wierman won a career best 24 faceoffs against
that big wiry frame to gain leverage, get his shoulder underneath the defender and whip it past Faceoff. Great individual.
Up like that. How do you remedy that situation?
You got to try to flush the, first of all, if you can't flush them out, you just have to mark up. You have to watch cutters, you have to watch the picks, but in a perfect world, you'd be able to flush that attacker to one side or the other to get him moving away from the goal. The trick there, though, is not to be sitting just outside the top 5. Impressive win earlier today against Ohio State.
This is a Penn State team that's faced 4 top 10 foes in its last 5 outings.
They always play an ambitious schedule, and with the Ivy Leagues back themselves, handcuffed the man he was throwing the ball to, and Penn State Peden happy to pick up the trash and slip it into the goal.
Maryland in the...
You can get him, Joe. So
Dixon with
characteristic loss. We've got to show up with a supreme effort.
One thing he kept saying is we have to play fast, because he felt like Penn State would on the opposite.
Open, and he zips it to the far post.
Molliver already with a couple of assists. He had 3 against High Point in the season opener for Maryland. The Terps getting the ball right back thanks to Luke Wierman. The goal from Brennan, who has markers in 5 of his last 7. Wierman angles and runs away.
The Nittany Lions.
Sickler, whose brother Dave played at Salisbury. Powerhouse program in its own right.
Division III, what they've won, I think.
This has to be music to the ears for the Nittany Lion fans. Peden had only 1 goal in his last 4 games. He has 2 tonight, and he's brought Penn State within 2 against top-ranked Maryland. Good scoop by Geppert.
Enough on it to score a goal. Keegan Kahn, impressive athleticism.
Wierman wins the draw, going right to the cage. Wierman fires, he scores! Back-to-back lightning bolts for the Terps.
How quickly the tide can change when you have offensive firepower as potent as the University of Maryland. Wierman wins it out the front door. Last week, Virginia slid to him. Penn State slides to him as well this week, but Wierman says, you know what? I'm going to post up, and I'm going to bounce it home. He does just that.
Wierman answering Hudson Bond, answering Jake Glatz that time, going to the goal. And the Terps lead grows to 4.
Very efficient in his movement, fundamentally sound. 6 saves so far in this one for McNaney.
Wierman wins the draw and comes up with the scoop again off the ground ball. Next week, McNaney will have to deal with the likes of Josh Zawada and Mikey Bain after a 2-goal mini run for Penn State. Maryland has the last 3 on the board, opening up its largest advantage on the night. And the domination continues for Wierman at the Faceoff X.
Yeah, now an 11-2 advantage in faceoffs for Maryland. Obviously, you get the possessions, but you can it's top side after a nice juke move behind, and he has chased Alaric Faceoff out of the game.
And here come the Terps again.
Where they got the defense hung up of Penn State, and then since then, Keegan Kahn has just dominated his individual matchup.
Wierman gets control of the faceoff. That's been a broken record for Maryland tonight. Holy smokes. He's having another tremendous percentage game.
He tattoos the upper 90.
Long on the board with a hat trick, the 5th leading point scorer for the Terps this season. Maryland in the black jerseys, another face-off win for Wierman. Terrapins, they'll travel to Ann Arbor to face Michigan on Saturday. Penn State's next outing, it'll be a quick work week for the Nittany Lions. They're at Ohio State this coming Friday.
Yeah, short week, and 2 teams.
You said the word work. Everybody we talk to, whether it be a coach, a player, an opponent, they all rave about Wisnauskas' work ethic.
They do. You know, wall ball Wednesdays, and Lars Tiffany told us last week that after they lost the national championship game, Maryland, shaking hands with Tiffany doesn't get much easier than that.
Jack Frassian, who came on for Alaric Fayok in the first half, as Chorus becomes the third different multi-goal scorer for the Terps tonight. The lead balloon.
Recognition by Wisnauskas and a tidy finish by DeMeo.
It is 9 goals unanswered for the Terps. Been the norm all year. Penn State now a drought of upwards of 17 minutes. There was a time there in the second quarter, this was a 5-3 game. After that, Maryland has ragdolled the Nittany Lions.
I really thought that Penn State was in a great spot after Will Peden made it 5-3. They were moving. Their feet are always moving and going to the ball and trying to get plays. Mulliver that time taking the feed from Wisnauskas and whipping it past Frassian.
Gavin Ty spelling Luke Wierman at the faceoff X. The second string draw man for the Terps gets Maryland the ball once more.
As my old soccer coach Buck Stork would say, name in the paper and date for the prom. Doesn't say how you scored the goal. It just says you scored the goal.
That he did. As McNaney and the Terps look to clear again, another face-off win for Gavin Ty. Ty's about
opponent. Princeton played them tough, 15-10 loss, but the valley between Maryland and everyone else in college lacrosse right now is striking. Will it remain that way?
At the end of the quarter, McNaney adds to his save. This Penn State squad this season, as you see the score tonight divvied up by quarters, back-to-back 7-goal frames for high-powered and top-ranked Maryland, as they are bludgeoning Penn State on enemy turf. Face-off win in possession for Hudson Bond. Bond, a guy who stood out to Coach Tambro.
Matt Closton with the goal. Stops the bleeding momentarily for Penn State.
Penn State was
extra time for some people watching this game. This is really important time to these student athletes. These are guys that typically work the scout team in practice, give the starters a great look, get them prepared for the opponent. For the
Nell earlier this season, so that's his second on the campaign. 3 unanswered for Penn State, making this an 18-6 ball game with a little bit more than 11 minutes with which to work in the fourth.
The Lions continue to play hard.
Nils Barry, cousin Katrina, played at Duke. Terps, Gavin Ty comes up with a face-off win. Morris slinging